You wake up 10,000 years ago with a smartphone in your pocket. By tonight, it's a dead brick. No signal. No chargers. No tutorials. You got a campfire, a clay cup, and a problem you can't Google. The tribe watches you like you're a magician, so you do what every modern mind does. You try to make heat. You push stones into the coals. You warm a lump of clay. You hold a sharp rock over the flame. You wait for something dramatic, a change, a breakthrough, but nothing crosses the line. The clay dries and crumbles. The stone gets hot and stays stone. The fire looks loud and powerful, but it refuses to become a tool. That's the first truth of the ancient world. Fire keeps you alive. Heat changes what your world is made of. And right now you don't have heat. You have a campfire. And if you're building civilization with me, subscribe. We're not collecting tricks. We're building systems. Most people carry a comforting myth in their heads. If I can make fire, I can make anything. Because in modern life, fire is already domesticated. Stoves, ovens, kilns, engines, power plants. We confuse the flame we see with the control we're borrowing. So let's break the illusion with 3 simple failures. Failure 1, clay. You can shape a bowl, dry it, even warm it near a fire, but the first time you pour water inside, it softens, cracks, or collapses. A campfire can dry clay. It often can't transform it. Failure 2, tools. You can heat-treat some materials a little, sure, but without hotter, steadier heat, your improvements are inconsistent. A blade that's sharp today chips tomorrow. A hardened tip becomes brittle because you guessed the temperature instead of controlling it. Failure 3, boiling. Yes, you can boil water in a pot if you already have a pot. You can cook food, you can sterilize, but boiling is not high heat. Boiling is the lowest threshold where life stops living in your water. It's survival heat, not industry heat. A campfire is noisy, but it's inefficient. Most of its energy escapes into the air, into the wind, into the night. It lights your face, it warms your hands, but it doesn't easily let you aim temperature like a weapon or a tool. And that's the moment the tribe starts doubting you, not because you failed to make fire, because you failed to make it repeatable. Here's the simplest way to understand civilization. It's a ladder of thresholds. A threshold is a point where reality changes rules. Below it, a material behaves one way. Above it, it behaves like something else. At low heat, clay is just shaped mud. Above a threshold, it becomes ceramic, a material that survives water and heat. At low heat, stone is just stone. Above higher thresholds, you can melt minerals, fuse sand into glass, soften metals, and change the chemistry of your world. This is why temperature is power, not because it feels impressive, but because it gives you access to new behaviors. New behaviors become new tools. New tools become new systems. And systems become a civilization that doesn't reset every winter. Raise the temperature and suddenly your pottery becomes stronger, more watertight, more reliable. You can make fired bricks, tiles, heat-resistant surfaces. You can prepare better adhesives and resins by controlling heat instead of burning everything into smoke. And you can start approaching the first metal steps, not today, but soon, because you finally have a path. Civilization isn't built from ideas, it's built from thresholds. And the difference between a camp and a workshop is simple. A camp burns fuel. A workshop builds temperature. So what's holding you back? Not knowledge, not effort. Fuel. Wood is a messy fuel. It's full of water, sap, and volatile compounds. When wood burns, a lot of its burning is actually those compounds turning into smoke. That smoke is energy leaving the fire before it becomes useful heat. Wood burns with smoke. Charcoal burns with heat. Charcoal is not a new material. It's wood, after you've removed the parts that love to become smoke. Think of it like this. If wood is a noisy crowd, charcoal is a disciplined teen. Wood throws energy everywhere. Charcoal concentrates it. Charcoal burns hotter and cleaner. It gives you steadier coals. It lets you push toward higher thresholds without fighting a constant storm of flame and smoke. And once you understand charcoal, you stop thinking like a camper. You start thinking like a builder of temperature. Because the real invention here isn't a better fire. The invention is a system: fuel, oxygen, heat, materials. Now we build the system in 4 parts, not as a perfect tutorial, but as a way of thinking you can repeat. Fuel, from wood to charcoal. The first mindset shift is brutal. You don't collect wood. You collect heat units. That means you stop grabbing whatever is nearby. You look for dry, dense, consistent fuel. You protect it from rain like it's medicine. Then you upgrade wood into charcoal by starving it of oxygen while it heats. The goal is to cook the wood without letting it fully burn. You're driving off the smoky compounds and leaving behind mostly carbon. When it works, you get black, light, brittle pieces that ring when tapped. When it fails, you get ash. Ash is what happens when your fuel burns completely and leaves you nothing to build with. So charcoal teaches the first industrial habit. You do not use fuel, you process fuel. Air. Heat needs control. The second shift is counterintuitive. More flame does not mean more temperature. If air floods your fire, you get bright flames and fast burning. It looks powerful, but it often dumps heat into the air instead of into your work. To raise temperature, you control airflow. You want the fire to breathe slowly and consistently. You want coals, not chaos. This is why windbreaks matter. This is why simple hearth walls matter. This is why the idea of a basic furnace or forge appears so early in human history. Not because people loved building structures, but because they needed to stop the wind from stealing their heat. With charcoal, airflow becomes a dial. You can feed oxygen where it helps. You can choke it where it creates waste. And that turns heat from an accident into a tool. Containment. Keeping heat from escaping heat is a thief's dream. It runs away the second you look away. So containment is the third part of the system. If you want higher temperatures, you must trap heat near the work. You don't need modern bricks. You need shape and mass. A ring of stones, a clay-coated chamber, a small tunnel that guides airflow, a covered pit that holds coals close. The principle is simple. Make the hot zone smaller, shield it from wind, surround it with material that can hold heat. When you do that, the same charcoal suddenly feels like a different fuel, because now your heat isn't escaping, it's accumulating. Output, what the upgrade unlocks. Now the payoff becomes visible. First, pottery becomes real technology. Not fragile, maybe it survives cups, but durable containers that can be boiled, scrubbed, reused, and trusted. Trust is everything. Trust is what allows planning. Second, tools become stronger and more consistent. You can harden, dry, and heat-treat materials with fewer surprises. The tribe stops gambling their labor on unreliable results. Third, specialization appears. Someone becomes the heat person. Someone manages fuel. Someone tends the hot zone. And suddenly other people can focus on building, carving, weaving, farming. Because the settlement has a reliable heat engine, charcoal doesn't just cook food, it creates industries. Here's what separates real early technology from fantasy. It fails in boring ways. Failure mode 1. You accidentally burn your charcoal into ash. You were trying to make charcoal, but you gave it too much oxygen. You didn't process fuel, you consumed it. Result: wasted time, wasted wood, no upgrade. Failure mode 2. You don't control airflow. Your fire looks dramatic, but your temperature is unstable. The work heats unevenly. Pots crack. Materials fail. People conclude you're unreliable not because you lack skill, but because your system leaks. Failure mode 3, you have no routine. You make charcoal once, then stop. You build a hot zone once, then let it collapse. So every time you need high heat, you restart from zero. Early tech doesn't fail from complexity. It fails from inconsistency. That's the real price of charcoal. It demands planning. It demands storage. It demands someone who thinks in days, not minutes. But that price buys you something ancient humans treasured more than gold: predictable results. So let's close the loop with 3 sentences you should remember. Fire is survival. Charcoal is temperature. Temperature is materials. Materials become civilization. If you can build heat on purpose, you can change what your world is made of. And once you can change materials, everything else becomes possible. Because the future is not a list of inventions. It's a chain of dependencies. So here's the choice for the next upgrade. Do we build a kiln for truly reliable pottery, or do we build a furnace that points toward the first metal step? Tell me in the comments. And if you're building civilization with me, subscribe. We're not collecting tricks. We're building systems.